And I have some theories on it. I think people first are rethinking their financial futures. They're seeing their 401ks go down. They're thinking about, gosh, I don't want to be a slave to my paycheck. And how can I create an alternative and multiple sources of income? And then I think secondly, they're also thinking about what's most important in life and how to connect with others.
This is the real estate investing experience. We get it. Real estate can be rough sometimes, and that's why we bring in the experts to talk about the experiences you won't hear anywhere else with your hosts, John Cohen and Chris Grinzik.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Real Estate Investing Experience. I'm your host, Chris Grenzig. With me, as always, is John Cohen. How we doing?
Good. Rolling into the weekend. So It's every day feels like a weekend now, but I know for the most part, we're doing good. I got no complaints.
Yeah, I got the alert like 15 minutes before, and I was like, you got a podcast to do. I was like, oh shit, didn't even realize. Didn't know today was Friday. I thought it was Thursday. But awesome. With that being said, we're going to jump right into it. But very quickly, guys, if you have not already checked it out, John and I will be speaking at a now virtual event. It was supposed to be an in-person event with all proceeds and benefits going 100% to Leukemia Lymphoma Society. Almost messed that up. Or LLS, as I like to call it, makes it easier. It's called the Long Island Real Estate Revolution, but now we are going obviously countrywide, nationwide, and we are also going 100% free. So we will have 8+ guest speakers on April 19th, all day on a Sunday when you got nothing better to be doing while you're cooped up at home. To go check it out. All we ask is while you're watching, if you like it, if you find it valuable, please donate to the cause. It's something near and dear to a lot of our hearts. To go check out and find more information, you can go to lirealestaterevolution.com. And that's lirealestaterevolution.com. But let's jump back into the episode. So today we got Travis Smith. I'm going to mostly let him introduce himself, but he's a CEO of TribeVest, which helps you pool capital to buy property and real estate across the country. Travis, you can probably do it better justice than I can. So thanks for coming on.
Hey, Chris, John, thanks for having me. Really appreciate the opportunity to be here. And yeah, absolutely. My name is Travis Smith. I'm the founder and CEO of a company and platform called TribeVest. And when we started the company 3 years ago, our mission was to level the playing field for the rest of us, middle class, hardworking, responsible Americans that have good jobs and wanted to break into real estate and to level the playing field, realizing that the biggest barrier of entry for most of us was capital. Mm-hmm. And so we built a platform that helps people come together with people they know, like, and trust, assemble, align, qualify, form, pull capital in a really streamlined, awesome way, open up a business bank account and do more together, achieve goals that maybe they wouldn't or couldn't on their own. And so, yeah, that's a little bit about TribeVest. More recently, we've been seeing, a lot of real estate agents and existing real estate investors coming onto the platform. So that's really an interesting dynamic and trend that we continue to see that I'd love to pick your guys' brains on in terms of what we're seeing there and what this all means. And again, glad to be here.
Awesome. Can you give us a great overview on the company? Can you give us a little bit more of a context on who you are, what your background is, and how you came up with this idea and, company?
Yeah. First, I'll give you a little bit of my resume.
There you go.
Graduated from Ohio State University in finance, was recruited and hired by Morgan Stanley and trained in New York City, actually in the World Trade Center. And I was in that business for about a year and a half. And I often say I was saved by software. But my goal was to help people build wealth. And I was in the retail side of it and wasn't really really wasn't achieving that mission at that time, and ended up getting into software technology startups, and ended up in a field what's called fintech, which is financial technology, and was working with some major companies heading up their strategic alliances, a company called Jack Henry and Associates
Hmm.
and Profit Stars, where we helped companies figure out how to do automatic payments or automatic contributions in a streamlined, automated way. And so yeah, that's a little bit of my professional background. And then probably the more important part of this, Chris and John, is where did TribeVest come from? And so in parallel to my career, really we go back to the last financial crisis, or the Great Recession. My brothers and I kind of realized that doing what we were told, which was go to school, get a good job, and get a good paycheck, and retire and die gracefully, wasn't really a good plan. And so we always saw real estate as a way to hack wealth without having to give up our day jobs.
Hmm.
But we didn't grow up in real estate. No one in our family, that wasn't part of our education. And intuitively, instinctively, we kind of said, listen, none of us know how to do this, but together we can figure it out. But we kept on running into the same problem, which was capital, lack of capital, we didn't have the lump sums of money. And finally, on a fishing trip that we couldn't afford, on the last night, we said, over a few beers, we said, listen, let's quit talking about real estate deals, and let's solve the problem right in front of us, which was this lack of capital. And we had our breakthrough. We said, listen, let's each agree to a manageable and monthly contribution of $500 each.
Hmm.
And that was it. It was a stretch at the time, but it was manageable. And $500 between four of us was $2,000 a month, $24,000 a year. We stumbled, we learned, we got our first deal, we got our second deal, and we look back and we realize that by forming and funding that investor group, that tribe, we unlocked a future that we could have never dreamed of. And eventually people started asking us, hey, how did you get in on that deal? Wait a minute, I have a tribe of like-minded people, and we have shared financial goals. Can you help us form an investor tribe too? And that's when 3 years ago we set off to start building what is today the TribeVest application.
Love it. I think that's really interesting. I kind of want to dig in a little bit more to those early years, because I think it's very interesting, because I think, we talk to a lot of people who are newer or trying to get in the game, and, very common question is, capital, lack of capital. Where do I get capital? How do I buy deals with no money? Blah, blah, blah. What was the reason you guys didn't try to, get creative or do no money down, or try to, create, instead of, sounds like you guys went right into rental properties. Is that correct?
We did, yeah. Started out in single family rentals, and now our portfolio is full of all sorts of different real estate investment types. I'm guessing we were like probably a lot of your clients. We wanted to get into real estate because of what it meant. We saw it as freedom, financial freedom. We saw it as the perfect asset class, in that all the advantages that come with it and the leveraging. But more important than the deal, I think for us was we wanted to learn. Like we felt like if you take all of our property away from us, right, and all of our everything we own,
Mm-hmm.
we're still financially free because we built up those repertoires, right? We kind of learned that we could do it, and that to us that was the security. In fact, we're not. We still all have our other jobs. I'm of course CEO of TribeVest, but it's very much something we do on the side.
Mhm.
So I don't think we were in that position to really dive in and get creative and shortcut here and figure this out here. And there was less resources out there too. There wasn't your guys' podcast and these
Right.
other communities that have come up. So,
Yeah. What year was that exactly? Like 2000?
yeah, 2008, 2009, right when it was all hitting the fan.
Yeah. No, I think that's really important, because I think what I hear you saying when you were talking, and what I kind of extrapolated, and I agree, is that just because you do it for no capital doesn't mean you're not using resources. So if you have a full-time job and you've got a family, you've got things you want to do, maybe you do it for no or less money, but you're going to be giving up a lot of time and sweat equity and things to make that possibility. Nobody just hands you a property for, no capital or crazy seller financing or these crazy ridiculous structures. You've got to go out and work to find these things. So for people to go out and do it, one, I'm not crazy about it, because I think people over leverage themselves. It's very rare to find a deal that is creatively structured that isn't over leveraged. And now, on April 10th, being in the middle of coronavirus, I hope a lot of these people haven't been caught with their pants down. But that's, besides the point. I think, people don't realize that, hey, no money down or creative stuff takes a lot of work. And where you're talking about, hey, you can do it on the side and do it like, stuff like this. I think to your point, people need to take a harder look at, what can they save over a sustained amount of time, and understanding that, hey, the first, 3 or the first 5 or the first 10 properties are going to take much longer than the next 5 or the next 10 or the next 20 properties, because of that, compounding investment, the extra cash flow, the appreciation, the principal pay down, and all that stuff. And people don't want to hear that. They want, instant gratification. They want to have the cash flow now. They want to have the properties now. They want to have the portfolio now. They don't want to take the long-term approach that you did of, hey, we're going to $500 a month. We're going to stay our course. And in 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, we can buy our first one. And then in 12 months, 14 months, we can buy our second one. And then it slowly gets less and less and less as you get extra money flowing in through cash flow. So I love to hear that, because I personally think it's the right approach as well. But I was happy to hear you say it.
Not very sexy, is it?
No, it's not. And it was really funny. I was doing I'm actually in the midst of doing this 30-day Instagram live series. And I had a guy on, but the other night, his name's Jeremy Schneider, not a real estate investor, has some real estate holdings, but he sold a company, a couple $1 million, and he just does index investing, and he runs an awesome platform. For anybody not following him, it's a Personal Finance Club. You should go follow him. And he just said, like, as he's giving his advice for like what he does, he's just like, I just buy index funds and I just never sell. And whether it goes up, down, sideways. And it was just like all these comments coming in like, wow, that's really boring. And he's like, yeah, it's boring, but it works. And, that's how people do it. So I think to the same point, it's, everybody wants the sexy flip. Everybody wants to do the redevelopment of a warehouse into condos. Everybody wants to do the 100-story, office building in Manhattan, but those don't make nearly as much money or are nearly worth the ROI on time and, even just reality as it is to just save up some money for a year, 2 years, 3 years, buy your first property, do it again, and eventually you'll get there.
Yeah. I just appreciate, the honesty here is, you hear about those deals, and I've been fortunate to be a part of them, and I've seen them go both ways. And, but the work that goes into it, there's always somebody that's the initiator, the one that's driving that deal. And man, it's hard to put a value or some kind of monetary number on what goes into an actual successful, strategic, sophisticated deal. And so anyway, that it's a lot of work, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and time, and hard lessons, right? A lot of failures, I'm sure, but leading up to a successful one. But yeah, for us, it cemented a future. Like there's something super simple about this. Like if we did $500 a month, we were going to have $24,000 a year in 12 months.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was a guarantee. It was done. Like the day we said we were going to do that, we had $24,000 12 months from now.
Mm-hmm.
And then we could start to learn our repertoire, start to network with people like you, and learn. And so when we did get to that time where we had the capital, we actually were ready to get a deal done, and we're somewhat informed. We made our mistakes, but it was good. So yeah, and I just will point out, that's an important feature of our platform. This way to do automatic contributions, monthly contributions. But people are coming together much the same way they always have too, to get deals done together. They're bringing their $100,000 each, getting a deal done, and our platform helps facilitate that. We're a neutral third party, and then I think what we're seeing is developing is people are coming to deals with their normal lump sums of capital to get the deal done, but they love this idea of continuing. If they like the partnership and everything's going well, let's start putting $1,000 a month in and having capital building in perpetuity. And so when the next deal comes, it's not let's scramble and liquidate that and liquidate this and pull out equity here. It's listen, we're in a position to go find a good deal right now. Let's do it.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to hear you talk about it because again, I'm drawing parallels as you're talking to a book John's been trying to get me to read forever that he loves called Profit First, where it's take the monthly or annual or whatever money first. I don't even know the concept. John, you could probably explain it better than me, but it sounds like the same principle to me from a 30,000 foot view.
What I like about it, and then I'll dive into what Chris said. I think that it's everyone today, it's what can you do for me now, and it's instant gratification. The problem is that doesn't, it works, and I'm not I never tell people you can't do it or it doesn't happen, but that long game, taking that money, putting it off to the side or wherever it goes, and when opportunity comes that fits, you can strike a lot quicker than trying to scramble, trying to figure it out, trying to, I want to flip this and buy that, and, day trading options and all these crazy things that people do. There's something to be said about the discipline behind that strategy, which I'm a big believer in. And I think, you put it off to the side for a rainy day or to execute on a plan like this. But it's basically, you take that, the commitment you guys made was great. And to Chris's point on, the profit first, basically what, they talk about is that if you make 10 grand a month, 40 grand a month, 100 grand a month, whatever it is, pay yourself first. So, don't look at it as you made 100 grand, let me reinvest 100 grand into whatever I'm doing. It's take 10,000, 2,000, whatever it is, that's yours, put it in the bank. And now you're working off a smaller revenue than you would originally thought, but you're paying yourself and taking that money and then allocating it to a platform like yours or to your own personal goals. If I want to buy a rental property, most people don't take that approach. Most people are like, no, we're going to buy this, we're going to flip it in 12 months, we're going to make $1 million, and we're going to do it again. Where the slow and steady wins the race. It's the tortoise and the hare. You can do it really well for a long game. And you could start it at 18 years old, 15 years old, or 40 years old. There's no cap on it. It's just, what you think you could contribute comfortably to, a monthly check, a monthly number to say, I'm going to put this off to the side and invest it in a platform or invest in a deal, invest with a group of people, and we're going to go buy X. And I think that's super important and people should hear it because most people don't talk about that. Most people say, no, buy this for 30%, of what it's worth and then sell it on the market, 6 months later. So I think this strategy is something that people have to hear, especially in times like this. Now's the time to, hoard cash or store it away and educate yourself so you don't make a mistake, or the mistake you make is okay because you have that, whatever that is ready to go when the opportunity comes.
Yeah. And think about, when it comes time to making a good decision, so much of things are deal driven, right? Like these deals come and you just gotta figure out how to get in, and you think about it. I mean, that's when you're emotional. And I've heard you guys on your other shows and conversations about should you be emotionally attached and to deals, and really no, you shouldn't. There needs to be some good gut feeling about it, but you don't want to be overwhelmed with, oh, I can't miss this deal. and that's impacting how you're making decisions. And if you have capital, especially in the current environment, and certainly when we were in the Great Recession, to have capital and to be able to do the deal, just knowing the next deal is around the corner. So even if a deal sounds good and it doesn't work out, it's all right. There's another deal around the corner, and you're making decisions without that emotional piece.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's huge. I actually have a question because I'm just, as we're talking, reading through your website a little bit more. One of the big things that I've heard and found with different partnerships, besides capital and whatever, is making sure everyone's on the same page for the goal, and then also assigning roles and things like that. How did you guys personally combat that? And then does your platform assist with any of that stuff?
Yeah. When people started asking us, could we help them form tribes, their tribe, we said, but what would we do differently?
Mhm.
And holy cow. I mean, there was a ton we would have done differently. But the biggest one was, man, I wish we would have talked about our expectations, our mission, how much, how long, then what if, all those things we knew we should have talked about, but were uncomfortable, didn't feel necessary because, we knew each other for a long time. But that's exactly why you need to discuss those things up front. It's because you respect those relationships that you want to have those conversations. So that was the big learning. And when we started building the platform, that's what our platform brings the most value. I come from fintech, and we've built an incredible technology that you can pull capital in parallel in an FDIC insured account. You can file an LLC in all 50 states, get your EIN. You can open up your business bank account all online, and you all have access to the shared dashboard where you have your documents. You can discuss and propose deals and vote on those deals. You see all your account activity, and it's incredible. But where our real value is we're that neutral third party that puts relationships first. And so part of that is when the initiator comes in, they build their vision for this groups, and they invite their prospective members in. And notice I said prospective members. And it's a way for them to say, hey, this is what we're thinking, what our timeline is, how much capital we're going to contribute. We may or may not have the deal picked out yet, but we know it's going to be this type of deal. And they collaborate, and ultimately they propose the rules of the tribe and what that mission is, and they discuss it, and ultimately they vote, and they go through an alignment process. It's called our tribe align, and we're just as proud of the tribes that don't go on to form an investor group as we are about the ones that go on to do incredible things that they wouldn't have or couldn't have on their own. But you nailed it, Chris. I mean, our job is relationships come first and are always more valuable than any property that you buy. And that's where we're changing the world, right? Remember when stranger used to equal danger, right? And don't jump into cars with strangers.
Yep.
Right? Or don't have strangers stay at your house. I mean, that wasn't that long ago. I mean, was how long had that been drilled in our head? And here now we're those things are happening, and also almost as long as it's been drilled in our head is don't do business with people you care about, and bullshit. You talk to people that are very successful in real estate investors, they'll tell you, no, do business with people like and trust. But our platform helps people do that, and it takes the burden off of everybody. It's not me saying, hey, this is how we're going to do it, and this is Travis's tribe and you're a part of it. It's no, there's a platform out there designed to help us come together and do this the right way.
Gotcha. I think that's very important because I think it's a factor most people don't understand. And it's one I'm continuing to understand more and more as time goes on. I'm curious though, how it kind of works. Is it a process that you guys mandate that has to happen? Like, hey, you guys can't use this platform unless you have, certain rules in place. And then how flexible can, the rules and tribes be? Like, can they elect someone as like the de facto leader, or is it always, quote unquote, democratic? Is it, has to have so many rules? Is it, I'm just curious from my own point of view, how you guys have set that up and what it's been like.
Yeah, no, great question, and glad you asked. It's very flexible. In fact, we just released, which is a real exciting thing, in late February, our latest version, which is a very dynamic platform, meaning where we meet you where you are, and whatever most value, the reason you're there, you can leverage the platform for those things. So It used to be very linear, very much like a wizard, and we've taken that off. And now, if you want to just do business banking together, you can. If you want to file LLCs and do your operating together, you can. If you want to do the alignment piece of this, you can. If you want to hold capital, you can. But getting back to a specific question that you asked is like, is it democratic, or, is there a leader? And the answer is, it's up to you. But, we do highlight best practices. It is good to nominate the president and different roles that people play, and, keeping people active in it. Even the people that are not wanting to, that we're thinking, I'm just in for my, and I want to just put my money in, giving them some kind of role and responsibility in the group. But yeah, it makes sense for people to be able to do the transactions, assigning that ability to do that, having, people to be able to do authentic authorizing by voting, but then giving people the ability to transact and get deals done is a real important part of this. So yeah, almost all of them have a leader or two that's taking the lead.
Gotcha. And I'm also curious now too. Obviously, we're in the midst of this pandemic and coronavirus. How has that affected, your clients? Is it, are a lot of people freaking out? Are they, looking at you guys for help? Or are they, is it like you guys are really just infrastructure and you're really trying to stay hands off? Are you guys helping? What's your experience been like so far? It's only been a couple weeks, right? But what's your experience been like so far with everybody that's invested in these different things?
Yeah. So first off, we're very hands off. I mean, the platform does a lot, but it's really whatever you want to make of the platform. So we're not guiding or advising in any way. There's a lot of education and resources and everything to access, but what are we seeing, right? What are we seeing? Well, we aren't seeing a ton of people pulling capital out or anything like that. Quite a few people have decided to pause their automatic capital contributions during this time, which makes a lot of sense. But why aren't we seeing this mass exodus? And I think it's because the people that are there aren't the ones that are looking for that home run, or you're putting everything in. These are called manageable monthly contributions because they're manageable. And so anyway, there's not much happening there. But what is really unique, guys, I'm still making sense of it, but just the last 3 weeks, our registrations have doubled.
Interesting.
Tribes initiated have doubled. And so there's something going on. There's this mass consciousness that people are experiencing. And I have some theories on it. I think people first are rethinking their financial futures. They're seeing their 401ks go down. They're thinking about, gosh, I don't want to be a slave to my paycheck. And how can I create an alternative and multiple sources of income? And then I think secondly, they're also thinking about what's most important in life and how to connect with others that they care about. And TribeVest is an awesome way to connect with others you care about. My brothers and I, most favorite thing to do in the world is our investor group. It's what brings us together. We're spread all over the country, but it's the reason why we talk on a weekly basis, and the reason why we get together and can write off vacations and things like that.
But that's like, I and Chris knows this. I said all the time, like, one of my goals in this real estate space, in this world, and what I like to do, I love the thought, and this is sort of this is put into perfect action. What you did was, it was like a country club for investors to come together and whether you do deals together, whether you just network, or whether it's a place. Now, what you guys are doing, or add another element to that, which is awesome, is just having that that forced savings plan, or a way to execute on that together. But that was always something that I was just a interesting thing for me, was if I could bring together a platform of people that can hang out, talk shop, talk real estate, grow together, learn together, network together, whether it's in California, Missouri, or New York, wherever it may be. I think that's a super, a really cool thing. So I think that platform is just fantastic, and that you've put it together is amazing.
I love the country club metaphor, right? I didn't grow up in a country club, but there's a lot of reasons why country clubs are good business tools. And there's obvious reasons why most of us don't have access to those. But that ability to have, the attorney, the CPA, the realtor, the real estate investor, all there being buddies, and that community is how you get introduced to, why 9 out of 10 millionaires are real estate investors, right? And that most of them probably because they're networking with people that help them do that. And TribeVest is a way of leveling that playing field, and pulling together different people with different expertise. I think it's more than just pulling capital. It's pulling other resources and everybody's expertise and spreading that risk. That is, the full power of the tribe.
Yeah. If you're comfortable with it, can we talk a little bit with your personal stuff? Because right now, as everybody's going through this stuff, everybody wants to know, what are people doing? What are people seeing? Stuff like that. Can you give us a little context on what your portfolio in real estate looks like, to whatever degree you're comfortable, kind of locations, and just kind of what you've been seeing happening over the last couple weeks? As we're, like I said, it's April 10th as we're recording this. Just a little bit of context for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just give you a little bit of our portfolio. Again, I'm not on this. You guys didn't invite me here because of our portfolio and how we're innovating different strategies in real estate investing. As it pertains to my investor group. Obviously, it's more about the platform and as a tool for real estate agents and real estate investors and the rest of us that are trying to figure out how to get into real estate. But as I mentioned before, for my brothers and I, it was more about, it's something we should do. It's another piece of our financial, overall plan that was missing. We weren't investing in real estate. And I think we had maybe a romantic idea of, would we ever leave our jobs and become full-time real estate investors and be in this company together? Sure. But it was more about, could we start to build a portfolio that we could leverage and would give us the freedom to do the things that we wanted to do. But it was a lot about the learning experience. So I mentioned we started off with single family rentals. one of the best things that I did, and this was, you think about it coming out of the Great Recession, which isn't an opportunity anymore, but we were working with a national builder where we would buy their model homes, and they didn't want to own those homes, so they actually built the model, sold it to an investor, and then as they sold the other 80 units, as they were building them, they paid us rent, which was an incredible deal that lasted a couple of years, and we turned that over 3 or 4 times. We got into commercial real estate at first, getting into a physician's office in Pasadena, where we were just an investor in a syndicate that did very well. And so that was our kind of first introduction to what a syndicate was. And then we actually became general partners in a syndicate. I'm in Columbus, Ohio. We have an incredible 100-bed, 7-story building right across the street from the greatest university in the world, Ohio State. And that was an incredible experience where I was going into the city council meetings and the zoning conferences and everything else. So really, and it was funny, most people do that with the intention of doing that again and again and again. And that was maybe what I was thinking about, but it was more for me of just really, again, getting to know the ins and outs of a deal like that. So that was a real exciting deal. There's another great neighborhood that's up and coming here called Franklinton, where we have mixed use space, and we're part of that deal. So we're real opportunistic, right? Like when the right deal comes, we'll do it. And I don't know if this is relevant or you guys will find it interesting, but one of our missions was to be for this to be something that brought us together and social. And so we had this crazy opportunity to invest in a racehorse a couple of years ago. And
that's different.
We did, right? We had just sold one of our homes. We were kind of celebrating, and this unique opportunity to work with this trainer came up, and we caught lightning in a bottle. Smaverless was one of the top earning racehorses in 2017. And so just to give you an idea of kind of where we're coming from, again, probably not that hardcore real estate investor that you're used to talking to, but real estate has enabled us to kind of have that lifestyle.
Gotcha.
That's awesome. Like I like a story like that is just like I've always said it. Even Chris and I were texting last night. Real estate investing is great, but there's other opportunities that can come from it. And someone brought that idea to me, and my best friend, his dad was a trainer for the Phipps, so they had a ton of racehorses. And I remember, one day I was much younger, and he was like, he's definitely going to win today. You should put money on it. So like 6 of us ran to the OTB, bet on it. We lost everything, but it was like, if that opportunity came now, it's like, oh, you could buy a piece of this horse. I'd be like, let's do it. Like, it's just a cool thing that it's like you said, coming together, hanging out, networking, going on vacation and talking about it. Like that's the stuff that should be the core behind an investment group or working together with people. It shouldn't, yes, making good returns is great, but the stories that come from little things like that, I think is just super cool.
Right on, John. No, man, that's our experience. And we got lucky, and we tried to follow it up again with another one, and it didn't work out as well. But, nonetheless, coming together, watching the horse race, and was just a blast. And like the conversations that happened as a part of that led to other business opportunities. So, yeah. Anyway, I don't know if I answered your question, Chris, but
you got the first part. I think it's really interesting because you're in a lot of different things. How has the effect of the whole pandemic been hitting you guys? And have you any measures? And also, don't discount yourself either. We've had tons of different levels of people, so I'm really curious to hear from the most sophisticated to the least of what people are doing and seeing and stuff like that, because your one insight could help us, could help somebody else listening. So the more you can share, the better.
I think first off, we are really glad to continue to accumulate capital. Whatever shakes out here, we feel like we're going to be in a really nice position to capitalize on deals in the next few months.
Mm-hmm.
So that's number one. And then, we're still seeing how this is going to impact. Like I mentioned, the property across from Ohio State, it's primarily students, undergrads and graduate students. I mean, they already canceled the summer. They're going to be quite possibly canceling in the fall. So we're reeling there and trying to figure out what this means for our business. And I don't really have answers for it right now. But I'd say the biggest thing that we're doing is just continuing to put away capital, knowing that opportunities are going to come. I mean, no truer words have ever been said. From change comes opportunity, and man, this is pretty heavy change that we're going through. The world's going to look different, ongoing. We'll come out of this. We'll come out of this financially in terms of the economy and stuff, and who knows how long. And there'll be opportunity there. But how people just view the world and how we interact with each other, and everything else is all changing. So there's opportunity developing from just the change.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. Thank you. Just going back to what you were talking about with like the racehorse and stuff, I think it's interesting, that mindset of, it almost sounded like you guys said, hey, we're quote unquote investing, but we know this is a, high risk, high reward, but we're almost doing it more for like the social aspect, or, the possibility and like the, the potential of what it leads to more. And I can see that being like a really popular mindset with like the upper echelon of society, the ultra rich and stuff like that, where they're like, hey, we'll invest $100,000 in this thing because, me and my 5 buddies are doing it. We'll like talking about it and maybe it works out. I definitely don't think that's a mindset that's trickled down into the rest of society. One, I think by necessity, right? It's tough to, the part of the fun is having some skin in the game. And if you are just trying to save everything you can to provide for yourself later on in the future, I don't know if it's necessarily possible. But I think it's interesting to hear, and I'm curious to see if that's something that will continue to come down the pipeline, as we've seen other things in the past that haven't been available, like commercial real estate, like, syndications, probably like, investing in racehorses and stuff like that. I'm curious if that mindset and opportunities like that will trickle down, and maybe there's a TribeVest, sister company for opportunities like that. I don't know, but I think that's interesting.
I mean, and people are using the platform for, 85% of our tribes are doing it for real estate, but there's the other 15% that are doing it for experiences or some type of alternative. And you nailed it. I mean, hey, we shouldn't be calling a racehorse an investment anyway, any way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
But it is interesting, like the democratizing of things that were inaccessible to the rest of us is happening. When my brothers and I started our tribe 12 years ago, no way in hell did we think that we would ever be investing. People like us don't invest in real estate, but it was real estate that put us in a position to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I also, just connecting some dots here that I think you connected, is the same. There is a thrill about real estate too. It's not minute 30 watching a horse go around the track, but I think most of us that are in it for a little bit of that thrill, knowing that there is a risk element, and it's a challenge, it's a chess match, and there's a resilience that needs to come with it if you're going to be successful. And I don't mean to get too philosophical, but that's our human instinct, right? Like there's something that we need that scratches that itch or helps us, that we're yearning for something, right? We want to, what were we doing 300 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
We were surviving. And there's an element of that when we're without a net working on real estate.
No, I think it's definitely comparable. I mean, definitely for me, doing a deal with, we're in a deal in Jacksonville where it's me, John, my cousin, my mom, and a friend of all of ours, Tom. And it's exciting to see like the property, come along and have those conversations and stuff like that. And, now we're in a position where we're under contract to sell. Who knows if it sells or not? But it's exciting to have like that conversation with my cousin, with my mom, John, I talk to every day. He's irrelevant, but, with Tom, and it's, things like that, where it's just a way to stay connected and a talking point of like, that's how you touch base, but then you go on to, how's the family and how's this and how's that and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it's important. And, I'm really looking forward to, when this property does go full cycle, whether it's in, 2 weeks or in 2 years, to kind of sit down and regroup and cap with everyone. And, hopefully we get together and do a dinner or a drink and just kind of celebrate what it was. And, it's definitely a slower burn than a racehorse, but, I don't think any less exciting because of it.
Yes. I mean, what do they say? I'm reading a book called Hacking the American Mind. And he points out that pleasure is something you experience on your own, and happiness is something you can only experience with others. And that's what you got, whether it's next week or a year from now, like that's fun as hell when you celebrate that investment coming full circle. And yeah, there was risk there that you put into it, not just financial, but your relationship risk too, right? And so, but as long as you go in knowing that. And the other thing that just hit me as you were talking, Chris, was we didn't invent tribe investing. Like we've been thriving and surviving as tribes since the beginning of time. And you, John, and the rest of your tribe that are in this current deal is evidence of that. So we didn't invent tribe investing. We're just hoping that we make it 10 times easier and take the pressure off on the relationship side, so that more people do it.
Awesome. I think that's a great place to wrap it up. Travis, thanks so much for coming on. If people want to learn more about you, the company, get in touch with you, follow you, if you're on any social media stuff, where can they do that?
Yeah, no doubt. TribeVest.com. Tribe, TRIBE, Vest, VEST.com. And we're putting together a URL for this audience. So maybe we'll have that in the show notes if you guys have those.
Yeah,
also,
just email to us.
You can please follow me at TribeTrav on Twitter, and also at Facebook at TribeVest. And don't hesitate to reach out. If you do a contact on our website, you can ask for me, and I'll follow up personally, and would love to hear what you're thinking in terms of your tribe and any way I might be able to help.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for listening. If you're not subscribed to the podcast, please do. If you are subscribed, please send it to someone you think that you would enjoy it. Travis, thank you again so much for coming on. This was fantastic.
Hey, keep up the great work, guys. Really appreciate what you're doing out there. So glad to be a part of the show.